We are often told that we are the product of the 5 people we spend the most time with. This is completely true. They shape our ideas, beliefs, values, and our mentality. They either dream big or think small. They either tell you can't or help you figure out how you can. They either make you feel better about yourself when you're down or knock you down a peg when you're getting too big. So it's important to make sure you're spending time with people who are a net positive and who help you become a better person than you are currently. But there's one person who you spend more time with than anyone else. The person who speaks to you constantly and who you literally cannot escape. This person has the biggest impact on who you become, and that is yourself. Most of us speak to ourselves very unkindly, in ways we would never dream of speaking to our friends, or honestly, even our enemies. When we make a mistake, the voice in our head begins to lambast us, tearing us down and calling us an idiot. If we see a pretty girl walking down the street who we want to talk to, our inner voice immediately begins making up scenarios of horrific rejection, which are so cruel that they're unlikely to ever happen in real life, and so we don't do it. When we want to quit our job to start a business with a really good idea we've had for a while, our mind tells us we're going to fail and end up completely homeless and starving, even though if it doesn't work out, we could just find another job. This voice gets particularly nasty when it comes to creative projects. We may want to sing or dance, write or make YouTube videos, but the very thought of pursuing these things conjures up imaginations of the entire world laughing at us and mocking us for even trying in the first place. Our inner voice begins to berate us for ever believing that anyone would be interested in what we have to make, and tells us to just stick to what's familiar and not be such an idiot. Now, admittedly, this voice can be a driving force, something which pushes us to escape the conditions we're in and pursue a better life. It pushes us to be greater, but more often than not, it makes us feel worthless and is a toxic voice rather than a helpful one. So why is this little voice so mean to us? Is it not an extension of us itself? Surely with it being our brain, it should be trying to help us instead of tearing us down. Surprisingly, although it lives in us, this voice didn't originate from inside of us. Think back to your childhood if you have the memory. Do you remember beating yourself up for spilling over a pile of toys or messing on your shirt when you ate? No, you likely don't, and most likely no one in the world at the time did either. Your mother probably giggled when you were a child and spilt on yourself and smiled kindly while she cleaned you up. Your father laughed when you knocked over toys and playfully pulled a face of shock at the mess. But then you grow up and you're not as cute as you once were. Now when you spill on your shirt, your mother begins complaining about how she has to get the stain out. When you knock over your toys, your father yells at you to pick them up and stop being so messy. And with each of these negative scenarios, a little monster begins to form in the back of our minds. And with no context and little ability to process the situation with our underdeveloped brain, we begin to think that us making a mistake makes us a bad person. And that little monster in our head begins to shame us, even when we're alone, because it believes that every mistake we make is a matter of life or death. When we get bullied at school, the monster grows, telling us we don't deserve to have friends. When we get a bad grade, it tells us we're stupid. When we get rejected by our crush, it informs us that we're unlovable, ugly, and will be alone forever. Even if we want to get in shape or develop a skill, it tells us that that isn't for us. And those who are in shape or talented just have something in them that we're missing. And this monster continues to grow and become ugly until one day it no longer needs anything bad to happen externally for it to shame us. So we walk around with a little monster constantly telling us how worthless we are. And with enough reinforcement and no action against it, we may even begin to believe it. But not everything that happens to us is negative. We sometimes win and are liked and loved by others, yet our mind stays quiet and celebrating our victories. Or, worse, the little monster may emerge to tell us we don't deserve the win anyway. So why is this negative voice so loud? It's based on how our brain works. It is biased to remember negative things because their cost is so much higher. When we win, we feel good and our status may slightly increase. But if we lose or humiliate ourselves, our status drops massively. We may lose friends or loved ones and end up unhappy and alone. If you think of it within the context of a tribe, if we constantly were to make mistakes and blunders and always embarrass ourselves, potentially causing a hunt to fail or everyone to be put in danger, we'd be kicked out of the tribe and likely starve on our own. So our brains needed to ensure we conformed and didn't become social outcasts. And those who didn't have these internal filters all died out, leaving only the overthinkers with little monsters in their head behind to reproduce. But we don't live with such severe social consequences anymore, so we don't need to be so harsh with ourselves. And often the cost of inaction nowadays is greater than the cost of failure. This changes the little monster in our mind. It isn't trying to hurt us, it's trying to protect us. It just doesn't know how to do it nicely because it believes the consequences of it not doing its job is our death. If we look closer at the monster, it's actually just us as a child, twisted and deformed from all the bitterness and negativity. And all they need is a hug and reassurance that everything is going to be okay. It's okay to try and fail. No one is going to mock us. And even if they do, it doesn't matter because we won't die from it. And it was worth trying. With this knowledge, we can begin to observe our negative thoughts, look at them and realize that they come from a place of misguided love. We can reassure ourselves that everything will be okay. We aren't useless idiots for spilling coffee on our shirts. We are able and worthy to accomplish our goals. We can be just as great as the heroes we admire. We can go talk to that pretty girl because we are worthy of love, and so are they, and it would be selfish to not even try because they might want to talk to us too. But they also have a little monster holding them back. And eventually, after some time, with a lot of encouragement, that little monster will clean itself up, get a little bit less intimidating, and become our biggest ally, telling us we can. It'll become a helpful friend instead of a hindering foe, and the person we spend the most time with, ourselves, will become such a positive part of our lives that it'll be almost impossible to fail. Hello everyone. I just want to say thank you very much for all the support I've received on this channel recently. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you. Thank you for all the lovely comments, the likes, and all the stuff that I've received all over the channel. It's been very helpful and very heartwarming, so thank you. And even to the people who left like opposition comments, not necessarily mean, rude comments, but like oppositions to my ideas. I also really appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to look at my perspective, and thank you for providing your own. I've learned a lot from reading what other people have said about things, and it's opened my eyes to perspectives I didn't even think of. And that's very important. We need a discourse and the ability to look at other people's ideas and perspectives. I made this particular video instead of a fitness one. I'm going to get back to the fitness ones at some point. But I made this video because this was very relevant to me. After I started getting success from the last video and my channel started blowing up a bit, I started to panic for some reason. And I had a little imposter syndrome monster going in my head. My self-talk became very negative and mean for some reason, so I never really got to enjoy it. And so while I wanted to make videos about fitness, I thought this was the essay I should come back to before doing anything else. And ultimately, I make my videos for me. They are a time capsule of my ideas, how I feel at any moment, and it's lessons for me to come back to in the future if need be. So I hope this helped someone. Finally, I just want to say, please subscribe to my Substack, because this was an essay or a blog post or whatever that I released a couple months ago, and there, a couple people got to read this before it came out as a video. Subscribe to my Substack and you'll probably get like sneak peeks into stuff before it comes out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.